morning. The Pardon Board is reconvening. We're at David Wade Correctional Center and we have one case there. Good morning, sir. Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
My name is Frank Michael Shulark, up in DOC number 129821.
And let me ask the staff there at David Wade to introduce themselves for the record.
Good morning, Michelle DOC Warden,
Brian Kimball, Assistant Warden.
Kristen Harper Classification,
John Malcolm.
Crystal Playmore Classification.
All right, well, thank you. Thanks for accommodating us this morning. We have here with us in Baton Rouge, Jerry Bollinger,
Yes, ma'am.
who wants to speak on behalf of Mr. Shulark, and we'll call on you at the appropriate time, sir, to do so. And also joining us by Zoom, we have the Parole Project. Mr. Myers will be speaking as well. First, Mr. Shulark, I'll read some identifying information. Then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Marabella, seated to my immediate right. Your case has been assigned to him. He'll take the lead on the interview. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Shulark. Your DOC as stated is 129821. You're seeking a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced in the 9th Judicial District, Rapides Parish, March of 1990 to a life sentence for a second-degree murder conviction. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, would you answer Mr. Marabella, please?
Morning, Mr. Shulark. My name is Tony Marabella. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Shulark, how old are you, sir?
I'm 67
And how long have you been in prison on these charges?
since 1988,
And that's at 34, 35 years?
35, right at that.
So you were around 32 when this happened?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk a little bit about Frank Shulark at 32 years old. How much education did you have back then?
Probably 8th grade. I think it was 8.
Did you have a job? Did you work?
Periodically, oil field, common labor, truck driving.
You had a pretty significant criminal record back then. I show you had at least 15 arrests and a number of felony convictions. What was going on with you? Were drugs and alcohol an issue?
Yes, sir.
Which or both?
Both of them.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about alcohol. When did you start drinking alcohol?
I guess around 13, 14, something like that.
And what were you drinking?
Beer, different whiskey sometimes. I wasn't a real big whiskey fan.
And did you continue to drink alcohol as you grew into adulthood?
Yes, sir.
How often were you drinking alcohol?
Well, I drank beer and stuff nearly every day.
Let's talk about drugs. When did you start using drugs?
Around 10, I smoked marijuana.
Okay. You progressed from marijuana to what?
Acid, mushrooms, stuff like that through my teens.
And how often were you doing drugs?
Every day usually.
Let's talk a little bit about when you were 32 years old, when this incident happened in 1988. Tell me what was going on with you on that particular day.
We was out.
We're talking about, I guess it was 1987, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We was out drinking, partying, smoking weed and everything. So I had to go get some cocaine. And then went inside, come back out, it wasn't coke. I got aggressive with him, and we just went back down to my mother's boyfriend's house. I walked inside. I accidentally seen a gun leaning against the corner. I walked outside. It was gonna be a tip play and everything, and wanted the money back and everything. We wrestled around for a while and everything. One time he was on top of me, and then I broke the conversation. I started going inside, and he kept coming on me and everything. And I turned to him, I said, "You can take another step, I'll shoot you in your leg." He took another step, and I shot him in the leg.
And he died.
Yes,
And you guys buried him.
yes, sir. I panicked.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about your condition at that time. Had you been using drugs that day?
Yes, sir. We've been drinking and smoking weed all day.
Now, the police report doesn't suggest, your version is a little bit different than the police, but it's fairly accurate. What you told me is fairly accurate. What do you think now that you've been in prison for 34, 35 years? What do you think about what happened on that day?
Well, it was a major mistake, and I think things could have been handled differently. But it was the circumstances at the moment. I acted without thinking.
What do you think the family the family of the victim in this case? How do you think they feel? Have you taken anything having to do with victim impact or anything like that?
Excuse me, I didn't hear you clearly,
Have
sir.
you taken any programs? I know you've taken a lot of faith-based programs and a lot of things that you've taken, and we're going to talk about those things in a few minutes. But tell me the effect that your killing had on this man's family.
Well, I know it devastated me and everything. Am I remorseful for it? Yes, sir, I am. I think about it every day. You know, it's,
Tell me some of the things that you've done while you've been in prison. I see that you've taken numerous faith-based programs. You've taken anger management. You got your GED, is that right?
yes, sir.
You're in Kairos, or you have been in Kairos. Tell me a little bit about the substance abuse programs you've taken. I see you've taken the 12 steps in 2017. You've done AA and NA. Tell me what you've learned about your addiction.
I learned a lot about the addiction part and everything. It was my crutch and everything. When I found things going bad, what I would do, I would turn to alcohol and drugs and everything. And if they'll pour you from it, would make everything all right. Those were my downfalls. You know, I relied on that to fix everything. And it didn't fix nothing. As a matter of fact, it really ruined my life and other people around me.
So let me ask you this. If you were to be released early, how would you be able to fight that addiction? How would you be able to assure me as to get my vote that you would stay sober?
Well, I look back at my life and everything, and I made a decision a long time ago that I wanted to change because I seen it, my life was a mess. I can't drink because I know I can't handle it. I can't do drugs. I can't handle that no more. I'm gonna come to a point in the age of time where my life revolves around what my family I do have. And I'd like to be around my grandchildren and everything and let them look up to me instead of seeing me where I'm at today.
What did you learn from taking substance abuse programs? The substance abuse program, 12 steps you took in 2017. What, if anything, did you learn from that? And is there anything about that that you might put in practice when you get out?
Well, following the 12 steps and everything is really the basic thing because I learned that I have no control over alcohol. It has control over me. You know, as long as I stay focused on that and try to make amends to people that I have hurt in the past, that frees me and keeps myself with taking a moral inventory of myself, you know, and trying to live according to what God wants me to live. And I've kind of set my goals living like that. And even in here, I try to help people when I can and everything else.
Well, it sounds like you've learned the 12 steps and you live in the 12 steps, which is good. How would you, what about AA meetings? Is that anything that you think is important to you when you get out?
Yes, I think it's very important because if you continue being around people that has the same problem as you, we all rely on each other to kind of help us through these things.
Mr. Shulark, let's talk a little bit about your hospice work. You've been involved with hospice for a number of years while you've been in prison. So tell me how you got involved with that.
Wow, that's the best question you could ask me.
Yeah.
I got involved with it. I met a man while I was waiting for surgery on the prison ward. He had terminal brain cancer. And he chose me for some reason to be his friend. Why, I couldn't tell you, because I was not the person, didn't really care. And next thing you know, I found myself, I was helping feeding him. I started bathing him, and I ended up changing him. Well, he ended up dying, and I didn't get up out of bed in time to go over it before he died. And it made a really major impact on my life. And I made a promise to him from that point on that I'd never let anybody die alone if it was possible. And they were just starting a hospice program in Angola. And I started worrying the lady down there to death about trying to become a volunteer in it. And she had seen me working with that man, and she went to bat for me because she said she seen something in me. And I found my calling there. I have a gift. God gave me that gift to show his unconditional love. It has been a blessing. I've sit with a lot of men, 45 different men. I feel their hand when they died, and that's an honor. And when I come up to David Wade, I got involved here. I've sit with at least 20 men here and trained volunteers.
Now, you were in hospice. You worked in hospice from 1997 to 2004 while you were in Angola.
Yes,
You
sir.
got moved from there in 2004. Why did you get removed from hospice when you were in Angola?
It was behind a pair of shoes that was bought for me through the lady that was in the hospital program. She bought a pair of shoes because I was going around doing tours with the college students that come here and everything. And it was an infraction.
Okay. Were you ever able to get back in the hospice program while you were in Angola?
No, sir, I didn't. I got involved in other things, started doing more of my religious studies and everything. And I had the warden there told me, assured me that if I tried to come back in, I was welcome to come back in.
So tell me what you moved towards. Tell me about your religious work after 2004 in Angola.
I got in there, I became a Eucharist lay minister, going around giving communion and stuff like that and everything. I sat on the advisory board for the Episcopalian Church. I tried to spread word of God.
Now, how long have you been at Wade?
Since 12.
Okay. And when you got to Wade, you got back into hospice. Tell me about that. Tell me how that developed.
Well, they had some people there at David Wade that was on the board. They didn't really have people sit with them and everything. And I was more than glad to go back and do it. And we started taking care of the guys here, and I just got a knack for it. And they seen I was good with the patients and everything, and I've stayed with it till my health got to the point where I can't really do nothing. My COPD, it flares up and I can't do much of nothing at that time.
What did your work in hospice, how did that make you feel? What did that do for you?
Wow. It made me feel like being a human being. It's really what taught me what being a human being was about.
If you were to get some relief today and eventually get out, what would be your plan, your transition plan? I see Mr. Myers is on our Zoom speaker today. Are you involved with the Louisiana Parole Project?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what your plan would be.
Well, I have several options with the parole project. They told me something. My ex-daughter-in-law, she has a place for me to come to if necessary. And I'd like to get back out and get involved somehow with some kind of form of hospice care or something.
You are a low risk. You've had 10 write-ups in 35 years. Your last one, I believe, was in 2012. A good disciplinary record. Warden, can you tell us anything about Mr. Shulark?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Marabella. I've known, MH Shulark since 1999. I was working the hospice program at LSV and when he was a volunteer. Like he said, he's been here since 2012. He did help us out in our volunteer, end of life care program, up until his health became such an issue. He's got a couple of different significant medical issues. You know, as his record indicates, his last write-up was in 2012. He's not a disciplinary problem. He's been one of our leaders in the AA program. So he continues to do well and goes back and forth for treatments quite a bit for his medical condition.
Thank you, Warden. Appreciate your comments. Madam Chairman, that's all.
Can I ask one question? Mr. Shulark, what are your medical issues?
I have severe COPD, I think stage 3, somewhere in that area. I just got finished doing throat cancer treatment, major radiation, and I have some things wrong with my esophagus now. I have to continue treatment with that.
But you have finished your chemo and whatever treatment.
Yes, ma'am, I did the radiation, and so far the cancer gone from where it was at, but I gotta go back and do some CAT scans about my voice box. That's why my voice don't sound too clear.
Well, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
good luck with your scans.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Shulark, do they call you Arizona?
Yes, ma'am.
Thought so. Okay. We're gonna ask Mr. Bollinger for his input. Mr. Bollinger, you want to step up to the podium, sir, and just tell us your name and your relationship to Arizona.
Okay, I'm Jerry Bollinger. I was a member of Kairos Ministry and that's where that goes on. And I've kept, we write back and forth since then. It's been probably 25 years ago. And he's keeping me up on ministry, any kind of sources and stuff he can get by mail, and he keeps me filled in on what he's studying, what he's doing, and I support him outside with scriptures, and I'm an elder at our church, and so I teach Sunday school class, so I fill him in with biblical information, and I run that line, study most of it, and understand some of it. So other than that, we just correspond and share that part of our life. Kairos Ministry is a 3-day thing. They go and stay for 3 days. We get 42 prisoners, and it divides up to 6 of them, 3 of us at tables, and we have 15 lessons over 3 days, and it's quite interesting. It impacts you for us, and I've seen him. I don't think he'd ever been anything like that since he's been in it. He's been a supporter of that, and we continue.
Thank you, Ms. Bollinger. We appreciate your input. Thank you, sir. Parole Project, Mr. Myers.
Good morning, Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. I think what this board has seen today is that Mr. Shulark has exhibited his humanity after more than 33 years of incarceration. What he's learned from hospice, what he's learned from his own health problems, his leadership in the Episcopal Church. He was a member of the vestry and one of the leaders in that church while he was at Angola, and has continued in his faith. His disciplinary record, as Mr. Marabella said, he has only 10 disciplinary write-ups, his last one being in 2012, more than 10 years ago. Mr. Shulark is at a stage in his life now where he presents no threat to public safety. Parole Project will support Mr. Shulark should this board give him a favorable recommendation. And he has long-term housing options, which we'll explore when he gets here. He's also indicated that he completely understands the importance of continuing with AA&A and the support systems that he has to continue to address his sobriety. So we would ask this board today to grant Mr. Shulark to grant his request to 70 years that would make him eligible release should the governor sign his clemency. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Mr. Shulark, is there anything you'd like to say to us before we vote?
Well, basically, I had everything I was gonna say, but I kind of covered that about my hospice experience and everything. You know, that's really that changed my life. You know, each one of those people, it touched my life a certain way. And it's opened my eyes to different things. It just made me a better human being. You know, and I think I can do something out there in the world to convey to younger kids to my experience, that they won't have to experience something like this one day. You know, this is horrible. I devastated my family, and I devastated the victim's family. And if there was any way I could ask them for forgiveness, I would. But all I can say is I'm very sorry about what happened for my family and his family. And I know Baltazar suffered.
All right, I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Marabella will vote first.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Shulark, it was a pleasure talking with you today. I have reviewed your record. I've listened to everyone as to what they had to say. You've got a very good prison record. You have good comments from the warden. You're a low risk. You know, oftentimes many of the prison staff talk to us about how important hospice is and how giving back to your community is critically important. To me, it's obvious to me that that has meant something to you, and you have really given back to your community. You've got an excellent transition plan. Your sobriety plan is intact. You work with AA, you've taken classes in AA, you've been very honest today. My vote today would be to recommend to the governor that he commute your sentence to 70 years and that he allow you to go. And when you get out, you go to the Louisiana Parole Project and follow all of their recommendations. Good luck to you, sir. Just
Thank
one
you,
vote.
sir.
Good luck to you.
Mr. Freeman?
I concur with Judge Marabella. Mr. Shulark, I think you have turned the corner. Appreciate your service with hospice. That's very, very tough. And I also vote to commute your sentence to 70 years.
Thank you, sir.
Mrs. Jackson?
Mr. Shulark, I enjoyed listening to you. You have done really well, and my vote is the same.
And I agree with my colleagues. My vote is the same. So, Mr. Shulark, on your behalf, we'll make that recommendation to Governor Edwards that your sentence be commuted to 70 years. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
That concludes our business at your facility. We're going to sign off. It is 10:02. Thank you.
Thank you.